So when you get a transplant, they're gonna go through a rundown of like all of this stuff, like precautionary measures that you need to take and things like that. And one of those things is sun exposure. When I was at the hospital, um, there was a guy. He's like the transplant coach. He's like a coach, and he's there to tell you about like all these precautions that you have to take and things that you got to be careful of and stuff that you probably should be cognitive of, as you move forward in the world as a transplant patient. And one of the things that he stressed was sun exposure. So he gave me this big bottle of sunscreen, and it was funny to me because, like, well, this guy was white, and he's like, you got to put on sunscreen every single day when you walk outside, and every single day you got to put on sunscreen. And I'm looking at him, and I'm like waiting for like the moment, and I'm looking at my mom, and I'm looking at myself, and I'm looking at him, and I just let him continue with his with his teaching, right? With his curriculum that he was going to do with me that day. But in my mind, I was like, does he not realize, but that's not to say that I should not be careful because of sun exposure. You should. When you get a transplant, you are now susceptible and vulnerable to everything. Anything that can make you sick, airborne, the sun, all of it. So you should always be careful. But as a black patient, I have more protection against the sun because of the pigment of my skin than somebody with fair skin. So it's like, say, for example, somebody that's Caucasian, somebody that's Asian, somebody whose skin pigment is not as dark as mine. I even asked one of the doctors that's on my care team that I see periodically. I was like, hey, listen, I had a question about the sunscreen stuff. Like, do I need to put on sunscreen every day? And the gentleman, the doctor that I was talking to, he was Middle Eastern. His skin is very, very dark. And I said to him, like, does the guy that was coaching me, the guy that was going through the whole packet, like, does he not realize that I'm black? Like, this dude's white. And he started laughing. Like, the doctor started laughing because he's like, yeah, man, like, they don't get it. He's like, you should always be careful, especially if you specifically as like a black patient, if you have exposure to the sun for prolonged periods of time. Like, it takes longer. I have had a sunburn in my life, but it takes an extremely long time for me to get a sunburn than anybody else because of obvious reasons. But he was saying that if you feel like you are going to have like hours and hours and hours of sun exposure, then yes, you should be careful. You should always be careful. But if you are only going to be in the sun for a little while, then it's okay. The doctor told me that because of me being black, I have a natural protection to the sun. Now, that being said, I want to stress that this is not me telling you to do something. This is not like a recommendation video. Every patient's mileage may vary. And if you have a question about this, always consult your care team. Don't take my word for it. Don't take somebody over the internet's word for it. Get confirmation from your care team and ask them very specifically, hey, listen, I'm this race. Do I need to be concerned about this? So as you can see, I'm in the car. I knew that I was going to be out today, so I just decided to wear a hat. I don't have hair on top of my head to protect my head from the sun. So occasionally, if it's an especially hot day, the sun is especially bright, sometimes I'll wear a hat to make sure that the top of my head is protected from exposure. Now, just because I'm a black person does not mean that I am not susceptible to skin cancers and skin illnesses. I'm even more so now because I have a transplant and my immune system is compromised. So it's always best to be safe than sorry when it comes to this kind of stuff. And if you have to use the sunscreen, just use the sunscreen. Now, there's caveats to that. Now, because I'm usually driving in a car, I don't necessarily have to worry about exposure to my face and head. But when I walk outside, like to go to the grocery store, which is where I am right now, then yes. The doctor that I spoke to told me that there's more risk of my hands and my legs being exposed because of me being in the driver's seat. Currently, I am not driving, I'm with somebody else. But if you look at my steering wheel, my hands would be here. As you can see, my hands are exposed to the sun. The sun comes through the windshield of the car. The sun's on my legs, that's exposure there. My arms, when I put my arm out on the side here, that's more exposure to the sun. So these are like problematic areas that you should be cognitive of when you are outside as a transplant patient. And if you're a patient of fairer skin, like if you're white, for example, you need to take that very seriously. Things like tanning, sun tanning, exposure to the sun, extended periods of exposure to the sun, going to concerts outside, all of those things that involve like exposure to the sun, you need to be especially careful. Luckily, I'm very much a homebody. I would prefer to be home if I'm not going to the grocery store or going to work. So I don't really have that much fear of too much exposure to the sun. But it's always important to be careful and stay cognitive of these kind of things. Don't just leave it up to chance. Be smart about it.